boy and first-time home buyers. This is a series that we're going to be doing. It's a five-part series, and matter of fact, six-part series. And we're going to start today with home buying myths. I'm going to go through a bunch of home buying myths, and we're going to break down these myths because there's a lot of myths out there. We're living in the age of information. We're just overloaded with information, whether that's coming from TikTok, whether that's coming from Instagram, whether it's coming from Facebook, whether it's coming from your mama, whether it's coming from your uncle Rail that bought a home 15 years ago. There's just a lot of myths out there when we're talking about home buying. So we're going to be breaking down probably for about an hour, hour and a half, maybe. We're going to be breaking down some home buying myths. So hopefully you guys are able to stick with me through this entire process. Okay. So let's jump to the first myth. Okay. All right. So Jonathan Smoke. Jonathan Smoke was a chief economist. Okay. And around 2016. And what he said was, hold on one second, bring this up. Okay, there we go. So what he said was that first-time buyers face more challenges than the buyers who have dominated the market for the last 5 years. So as you guys know, we're in a different market right now. We're in a totally different market right now than we were 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I got people that are calling me today, buyers who are talking about their interest rate was 2.5% or 3%. And one buyer can't believe, as far as, okay, what I could get then versus what I can get now. All right. So, what Jonathan Smoke is saying is that the first time home buyer, their challenges today is a lot different than what the challenges were a couple years ago. Okay. So, let's get into these myths, man. So, for introduction, the rent cycle is hard to break and will likely keep a large percentage of American, it says women here, but women or men trapped as being renters, never enjoying the safety and security of home ownership. So this is the introduction here. Let's move on here. Move on from this. Okay. So what's the problem? Problem is that traditional real estate brokerages, a lot of times they aren't set up to service renters. All right. They are not set up to service renters. Why? Renters weren't ready to buy and starter homes for first time home buyers produce small commissions. So a lot of agents don't really focus on first time home buyers. They may focus on commercial or they may focus on the $1 million homes, but not so much the first time home buyer. Okay. I focus on the first time home buyer, and that's what we're going to talk to. We're going to talk to the first time home buyers. Okay. So the solution, let's go right to the myth. All right. What's myth number one? Myth number one is that you need a perfect credit score to purchase a home. I got my energy drink from Panera Bread. Now they haven't paid me, but these energy drinks are off the chain. So the first myth that people think is that you need a perfect credit score in order to purchase a home. All right. Here's the truth is you do not need a big credit score to purchase a home. All right. It's true that a higher score, the higher score, the better the interest rate, and it will likely save you more money in the long run. So while there are benefits to a perfect credit score, even if the credit is less than perfect, you can still qualify for a mortgage. Some mortgage loan products and a buyer programs approve credit scores as low as 620 and even 580. So it pays to shop around. The first step is to find out what your credit score is and then take steps to improve it. So this is the first myth. The first myth is that you need a perfect credit score. You don't need a perfect credit score, okay? You can buy a home at a 500 credit score or a 520. But here's the caveat to that is you really want to have a 620 or better. Okay. Why? You want to have a 620 or better because when you're dealing with a FHA loan, if you're dealing with a FHA loan, if you have a 620 or better, you can qualify for the 3.5% down. Versus if you got a 580 score, you can still get a loan, but with an FHA product, you're probably going to pay around 10% or 10% down. So I always tell people that you really want to have a 620 or better, but you have to find out what your credit score is. Before you go to anybody, you really want to find out what your credit score is. And you can do that not by going through Credit Karma, okay? Credit Karma is good for what account you have, but it's not good for your credit score. All right, because Credit Karma uses a Vantage score, and you want a FICO score. Okay, so if you DM me, I will let you know where you can get all three bureau credit scores for $1. Okay, you just gotta DM me wherever you find this at. All right, so the myth was that you need a perfect credit score to get a home. Okay, the truth is that you don't. All right, that's myth truth number one. All right. Myth number two, a buyer must pay 20% down to buy a home. All right. A buyer must put down 20% to buy a home. This is myth number two. A lot of people think that you got to put 20% down to buy a home. Now, here's the a buyer does not need to put down 20% to buy a home. When I was young, I used to think, man, to buy a home, you need a whole lot of money. Well, here's the thing is that when you're buying a home is one of the one only investments where you can buy a part of it and own or control the whole thing. Okay. So it says this is probably the most common and harmful home buying myth. It keeps renters in the rat race and stifles home ownership. Traditionally, a buyer received a 30-year mortgage loan with 20% down. Oh, have times changed? Today, there are many mortgage loan options available to buyers based on their credit score and income. There are down payment options as low as 3% and down payment assistance programs available for buyers with low to moderate incomes. So, back in the old days, your mother or grandmother, they would go to the bank and they would get a 30-year loan and they would have to put down 20%. That's not the case today. Okay. Most people either put down 3% or 3.5%. And that's just the down payment. Okay. So that's myth number two. Let's jump to myth number three. Myth number three is that the best time to buy is the spring. There are people that think that the best time for them to buy a home is the spring. So they'll wait. They'll wait until the spring gets a little bit hot, and now they're okay. It's time to buy. Right? Here's the thing: the truth is that the best time to buy is not spring necessarily. Okay, it says that the best time to buy is when you are emotionally, financially ready to buy. Serious sellers and sellers who may be willing to negotiate put their home on the market when they need to sell. Homes listed during non peak times could be from highly motivated sellers. Just focus on what you and your family needs are, such as getting settled in prior to the upcoming school year, taking advantage of the summer off, relocating for another job, or moving into your new house just in time for just to have a family celebration. So it shouldn't be dictating when you're moving or you're buying a home. It shouldn't be dictated on the seasons. It really should be dictated on your particular circumstance. What's your circumstance? Okay. And then, because here's the thing, people buy homes and people sell homes all the time. People buy and sell homes all year round. So it's not necessarily dictated on the season, okay? It's more dictated on people's situations. What are people's situation which causes them to want to move or to buy a home? Let's go with the next it also says, like I just said, homes sell and buyers buy homes all year round, okay? All year round. All right? Now, here's myth number four. Myth number four is that renting is better slash cheaper than buying. Again, myth number four is that renting is better or cheaper than buying. All right. Here's the truth. Renting is not always better or cheaper than buying. It completely depends on your circumstances and where you're looking to buy. In some areas, it can be less expensive to own a home. Many buyers buy because they want more peace, more security, or more control and more stability. Although you'll need to account for ongoing expenses like maintenance, insurance, and HOA fees if it's applicable. Luckily, there are tax deductions that can ease some of the burden. All right. So it depends. Buying is not always cheaper. Buying is not always cheaper. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on where you're at. Okay. So buying is not always cheaper than that's a myth. I'm sorry. Renting is not always better or cheaper than buying. And there's one big thing about renting is that people look at the interest rate and they say, "Oh, well, what about the interest rate? What about the interest rates are high? The interest rates are like 6% or 7% right now." Here's the thing: is that when you rent, the interest rate is 100%. When you're renting your home, the interest is 100%. So even if interest rates hit 10%, even interest rate hit 10%, is still better than 100%. Also, when you're a renter, you don't get a chance to have your hand in the equity. You don't have a chance to take part in that equity growth. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so here's myth number five. Myth number five is having debt disqualifies you. There's some people that think that you have to be debt free in order to qualify for a loan. Okay, this is myth number five. Myth number five is having debt disqualifies you from getting a loan. Okay, here's the truth: having debt does not automatically disqualify you. Okay, again, having debt does not automatically disqualify you. There's no need to act. There's no need to front. Okay, being in debt won't automatically prevent you from getting a mortgage. Your existing debts might be more of a speed bump than a road bump on your path to home ownership. Lenders will look at your debt to income ratio, which is DTI, to determine what percentage of your income is needed to cover all of your monthly debt obligations. The lower your debt to income or DTI, the better your chances of qualifying for a mortgage. Okay. So having debt does not disqualify. But here's the thing: a lot of us in our community were brought up with, oh, credit cards are bad, credit cards are bad, credit cards are bad. And then when you go to get a loan, then you look at your credit and see that you don't have any credit. And a lot of time, not having credit is worse than having bad credit, because the credit score wants to see you, how did you use credit? And if you don't have any credit, then it has nothing to look at. And you definitely probably won't get a loan. So, the way that a credit card profile should look is you should have two credit cards. And here's the thing: you don't get charged interest on a credit card until you go after the pay date if you keep a balance past the pay date. Okay? So just make sure that you're paying those bills off. I even tell people get a credit card, and if you're not going to use it monthly, but buy gum, buy gas, and make sure at the end of the month you pay it off every time. So that way you build credit history, okay? And that's what the credit card companies or the credit score wants to see, is they want to see actual history, okay? Also, poorly managed debt is more likely to cause road bumps because it affects your credit score. And it's a bad idea to change up balances on your cards right before you try to get a mortgage. If your debt if your debt lowers your credit score or raises your DTI enough, it could lead to your mortgage application being turned down. And we'll cover DTI in this course. Okay. So when you have debt, meaning credit cards or some type of other debt, you want to make sure, because that's what a credit score is doing. Or is manage your debt. Okay. So if you don't have debt for that credit score, it's not good. But if you have debt and you pay everything on time, then that's going to be a boost for you because your credit history is a factor in your credit score. All right, let's move on. Myth number six. Right. Myth number six. Shopping for a home is the first step in the home buying process. Again, myth number six is shopping for a home is the first step in the home buying process. You don't know how many people I talk to and they don't have they're calling me to see a home and they don't have anything in order. They're calling me to see a home, but they have nothing at all in order, okay, or in place, all right? Here's the truth. Shopping for a home is not the first step in the home buying process. Again, truth is that shopping for a home is not the first step in the home buying process. There's nothing wrong with window shopping. There's absolutely nothing wrong with window shopping and browsing to get some inspiration. But before you start house hunting, you'll need to know how much home you can afford, what you think you can afford, and what a lender will approve you for can be two different numbers, okay? Preparing for home buying is a critical step in the process that can't be overlooked. It absolutely can't be overlooked. Okay, so not pre- um not preparing leads to something that we used to call piss poor preparation. It goes like this: piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. Piss poor performance promotes perpetual pain. Okay, so not preparing leads it leads to waste. Oh, excuse me, not preparing. It leads to wasted time, rejection, disappointment, and dead ends, okay? Only after you know how much home you can afford and what you qualify for should you actually begin your hunt. Meaning what? You need to get pre-approved before you actually try to go start seeing homes. You need to be pre-approved. The pre-approval process is going to show you, is going to separate the men from the boys as far as who is actually ready to go and see homes. Okay, so don't waste my time. Don't waste my time, and don't waste the other realtors' time. Okay, make sure you get pre-approved before you start going home check. Myth number seven. Myth number seven is working directly with a seller without a buyer's agent will get you a better deal. Wow. I see this a lot. I see this a lot. For some reason, a buyer thinks, well, you know what? If I go directly with the seller's agent without a buyer's agent, I'll get a better deal. That's myth number seven. Again, myth number seven is working directly with a seller without a buyer's agent will get me a better deal. Okay. Here's the truth. Working, okay, working directly with a seller without a buyer's agent may likely not get you the best deal. It's likely it won't get you the best deal, okay? You don't know what you don't know. A real estate transaction needs a critical eye and knowledge of the paperwork requirements, general rules, and laws, okay? It is the single largest investment most of us will ever make financially, okay? It requires an enormous amount of energy and effort and research. There's so many moving parts. There is so many moving parts during this process. If you think, okay, I'm just going to go with the seller or I'm going to go with the seller's agent, it's almost like in a court of law. In a court of law, they say the one who's his own lawyer has a fool for a client. Well, it's almost the same thing with a person who's looking to buy a home, but he doesn't have a buyer's agent. You don't have somebody looking out for you. So if you go straight to the seller or you go straight to the seller's agent He's one person. So his client is the seller. If you go directly with him, you're going to be a customer, not a client. With the client, he has fiduciary responsibility. Okay, so he has to act with his client's best interest in mind. But if you go directly with the seller, okay, or the seller's agent, you're a customer to him. You're a customer to him. Okay. So also, a buyer's real estate agent can step in, initiate, and track the buyer's transaction, negotiate price and contract terms to help uncover pitfalls of a particular home or the market in general based on prior experience and know-how. Because we do this every day. I do this every day in and day out. Okay. So there are going to, like I said, in a transaction, there's a lot of moving parts. And if you miss one of those moving parts, it can hurt you dearly. It can hurt you dearly. So therefore, you want a professional on your side. On your side. If you go straight with the seller or you go straight with the seller's agent, they're not going to be on your side. All right. So keep in mind the seller is going to pay the commission whether or not there's a buyer's agent. Okay. The listing agent will simply earn double commission. There's no savings to the seller or buyer when the buyer doesn't have an agent. It makes no sense for you not to have an agent. It makes no sense for you not to have an agent. Okay, that's what all that is trying to say, is that it makes no sense for you not to have an agent. Okay, and the truth is, in 99.9% of real estate transactions, the buyer's agent, um, in a lot of times, I know there's a car alarm going on outside, but don't even worry about that. Okay, um, so let's go to myth number 8. Okay. Myth number 8 is that a loan buyer can't compete with a cash buyer. Again, a loan buyer can't compete with a cash buyer. What that means is there's a lot of people that think that, okay, when you go to buy a home, there's two ways for you to buy a home. Okay. You can buy it with cash and you can also buy it with a loan. Okay. So there's a lot of people that think out there, well, I'm a loan buyer and everybody is trying to buy this home for cash. So that means that I can't compete. And that just is not the case. Okay. A loan buy, myth number 8 is that a loan buyer can't compete with a cash buyer. All right. So here's the truth, is that a loan buyer can compete with a cash offer. Okay, cash is not always king. Cash is king a lot of times, but cash is not always king. Cash buyers expect a discount because they're typically offering cash and a quick close. Not all sellers are interested in giving discounts and will wait patiently for the right offer. All right, a lot of times I tell my clients that, when you get a cash offer, there are going to be different demands with that cash offer than a loan. I also tell them that you're going to get more money for the most part with somebody who has a loan versus cash. Somebody comes in cash is typically lower, and it's because it's cash and they want a quick close. Now there are circumstances, okay? There are circumstances where you want a cash offer, all right? But a loan offer can compete. I've had times where I'm on the buying side and I have a person with a loan and the seller has cash offers and I'm able to beat them out, okay? Because you have some sellers who don't care, they'll wait to get more money. So some people think that loans can compete with cash, and sometimes that's just the case. Okay. All right. Let me go back and see right here. It says there are some things you can do to ensure your offer stacks up. For starters, your mortgage loan officer should be able to offer a quick close if they get you pre-approved prior to putting in an offer. If you have all your financial ducks in a row, you may be able to shoot for a close in 2 to 3 weeks versus 30 to 45 days. And that's correct. If everything is lined up, okay, if everything is lined up with some lenders, you can close in 2 to 3 weeks because you're really just waiting. Okay, during a transaction, what takes the most time? What takes the most time is the title. The title coming back takes the longest. All right. So you have title, but you also have the mortgage underwriting time period. So that mortgage underwriting time period and that title, those are the things that take a long time or take the longest time in this process. So if you can streamline those, you can get title back. I mean, some people can get title back in 10 days if there's no issue. And the mortgage underwriting, that just has to do with the process of that mortgage company. So it's not that cash always beats the loan in in its time frame. All right. And also, secondly, many long-term homeowners like to know that there's a real person or a family behind the offer. When a seller is faced with two similar offers, one from a cash investor and the other from a person who really wants to become a member of the community and live in a home, um, it makes that known. A buyer with a solid offer and pre-approval may be selected over an all-cash investor. In most cases, it is not in the seller's best interest to discount the price of their home if it's priced fairly in good condition. So it really depends. It really depends on the. Now this alarm is going off. It never goes off, but now there's a car alarm that's going off out there. Just make sure it's not my car. Uh, okay, yeah, it's not my car. Okay, so it's not in every situation where a cash offer beats out a loan. But let me close the window. Okay, I'm back. All right, that I think that made it a lot better. All right, so let's move on. Okay, myth number nine. Myth number nine is that buyers should never offer full price. Myth number nine is that buyers should never offer full price. All right. Here's the truth. Buyers should offer full price depending on the market. Okay. So it says believe believe in this myth in a seller's market and you'll be disappointed as your offers get rejected. All right. Now what's a buyer's market and what's a seller's market? A buyer's market is when the buyer a lot of time has the upper hand. The seller's market is where the sellers have an upper hand. And for the most time, we're right now, I'm in Philadelphia. In a Philadelphia market, it's a seller's market. Okay. Why? Because the inventory is low. There's not a lot of homes out there. So even though mortgage rates are creeping up and they're higher than they've been in the last couple of years, it's still a seller's market. The reason is there's just not a lot of homes out there on the market. Okay. So if you believe in this myth in a seller's market, you'll be disappointed a lot because your offers are going to get rejected. Okay. The market determines how hot, warm, or cold your offer is, okay, or your offer needs to be. In a seller's market, many buyers offer over asking price to get the home that they want. Don't let your dream home slip away. If you really want a particular home, you'll want to present a strong offer, leaving uh, room to up the ante if your offer is countered or rejected. Okay, so um, when you're putting in an offer, okay, this really depends on the market. It really depends on the market as far as if you should be putting a over asking or an at asking or a below asking. Okay. So it says while the real estate agent wants to negotiate the best price for you for the house that you want, they have other ways to save you money within the terms of the contract while still offering a full price. An experienced agent knows how to position you as a buyer to get noticed. He or she also has an idea based on market value, price, and condition which home should get a lower offer, a full price over a full price offer or overbid. You won't win them all, but you'll have a much better success rate. Okay. So we kind of know as real estate agents, okay, as a real estate agent, there are different ways to save you money versus just the price. Okay. For example, someone may say, hey, um, I want $10,000. This is what people do all the time. Well, I don't want to pay full price for the property, so the house is 300,000. Can you? I only want to pay 290 for it, so I want to save $10,000. So I want $10,000 off the price. Well, here's the thing: to the seller, $10,000 from their bottom line is $10,000. But when you buy a home, your mortgage is usually spread over 30 years. If your mortgage is spread over 30 years, then what does that mean? That means that if you take $10,000 and divide it by 30, what is it? 333.33. That's all you're saving yearly. Okay. So you brought the price down $10,000. I'm using simple math here, but you brought the price down $10,000 from 300,000 to 290, but you're only saving $333 a year versus if you got $10,000 in seller's assist, if your closing cost was $20,000, now your closing cost is only $10,000. So you can save that $10,000 today, or you can spread it over 30 years, and you're probably not even going to have that loan for 30 years. Okay. So that myth, oh well, I'm not paying full price. There's other ways to skin a cat, as they say. Okay. All right. So here's myth number 10. Number 10 is that if you rent, you won't pay property taxes. Okay. Again, this one is funny. Okay. This is funny. Again, myth number 10 is that if you rent, you won't pay property taxes. All right, here we go. If you rent, you do pay property taxes. Okay. Again, if you rent, you do pay property tax. When you rent, you help pay your landlord's mortgage and property tax. When you rent a home, your landlord factors in a number of expenses into your monthly rent, like property taxes and maintenance costs. You might not be sending a check to the state government specifically for tax payments, but your rent will be used to pay the owner's property tax. Okay, so Philadelphia last year, where I think uh, the average appreciation in Philadelphia was 31%. So property taxes are based on the value of the property. So when these assessments happen, one of my properties, the property tax tripled. So when the property tax tripled, I had to raise the rent. I had to raise the rent because now I'm making most money. And what's going to happen in Philadelphia is that if you don't buy, starting this year, 2023, when the property taxes are going up, people are going to see hikes. People are going to see hikes in their rent. Their rents when they re-up the rent, they're going to see an increase because what the landlord is going to do is he's going to pass that on, that rising of the rents to them, or that rising of the property taxes to the renter. Okay. All right, we're coming down to home stretch. We're almost done here. Next is home maintenance is expensive. There's some people say, oh, I'm not going to buy a home. The reason I'm not going to buy a home is that I gotta fix everything and the maintenance and what if the hot water tank breaks and what if this breaks and what if that breaks. Well, here's the thing. Home maintenance is not too expensive, okay? Home maintenance is not too expensive. Now, while maintenance and upkeep is a determining factor for many home buyers, here's the secret. Home maintenance doesn't have to be expensive, okay? Many homeowners choose to purchase a home warranty to protect their budget against unexpected costs due to failures of their systems and application appliances. And in many cases, a seller will include a warranty as part of the sale and transfer the existing warranty to the buyer. So what happens a lot of times in transactions is the seller will buy a home warranty, a 1 year home warranty for the buyer. And then the buyer can keep up on top of that. So that if somebody is like truly really worried about that, then a home warranty will repair, replace a home's failed systems and appliances which fail from normal wear and tear for a small service fee. Okay. So let's move on. What's the next myth? This is okay. So we're done all of the myths. Okay, so we went through all of the myths. Now, what's the benefits of owning a home? All right, these are in 4 sections. All right, what's the benefits of owning a home? Number one is personal. Okay, um, you'll have greater privacy. Okay, more freedom to foster or create, as they say, the home you want, higher self-esteem and happiness because you're controlling your situation. And you guys know controlling your situation versus being told, to tell somebody to do something is a struggle. All right. But if they feel like it's their own idea, then they're more apt to do it. Right. Well, owning your home, you have more control. You don't have to ask the landlord, can I paint the ceilings? You don't have to ask the landlord, well, can I do this? Well, can I do that? Okay. So you have greater privacy, you have greater control over your situation, number one. Number two, socially, okay? You're free to entertain. You're free to entertain whoever you want over your home. Okay. There's more of a community. There's more of a sense of a community. Why? Because you live here, you own this. It's almost like, not almost, it's the difference between owning a car and renting one. When you rent a car, you don't care about that car. You slamming the door, you doing donuts in the street. Okay. When you own the car, you're taking a lot better care of it. So that's the same thing with a home. There's stronger ties, there's stronger community times. You're free to entertain anybody that you want. You can really establish roots in that community. You can establish roots in that community. Okay. Why? From owning your own home. All right. That's number two. Number three is lifestyle. Okay. Lifestyle. You have more control over your expenses because you own the home. So you have more control over the expenses. You lock in a 30-year fixed mortgage. You know what your mortgage is going to be for the next 30 years versus renting. You don't know what your rent's going to be next year. You don't know what that landlord's going to do. You have no idea. Okay? You have a more control in a lot of places, not all, but in a lot of places where there's mostly homeowners, a lot of times the crime is lower. A lot of times the crime is lower in places where most of the people are homeowners. Why? Because we're in an area where there's mostly renters, people don't care. People don't care, okay? And you have more financial stability. Why? Because you're more able to predict what your bills are going to be versus if you rent, okay? And number four, there's financial benefits, okay? Number one, you enjoy tax incentives, tax deductions that you don't get as being a renter, okay? And equity, if this is probably not one of the biggest one, and I could spend a whole class on this, is you get to participate in the equity, the rising equity in the home. Okay, and I don't. This isn't the class for this. Okay, but that's one of the that's one of the big detriments of redlining. If you don't know what redlining is, go Google it. Okay, but for generations after generation after generation, black folks were not able to participate in the wealth building or the equity building in the housing market. In the housing market. Why? Because they were redlined. They weren't able to get loans for homes. Okay, but I'll jump off that one real fast. And finally, um, you can use that equity to do a lot of things like pay for your college education, for your kids' college education. Okay, so using that equity, there's a lot of things that you can do that will benefit you and your family. Okay, so here's the last slide. Okay, okay. It says, don't fall prey to myths. Okay, again, don't fall prey to myths. Don't let what you think you know about the home buying process derail your dreams of home ownership. In the end, when it comes to buying a home, the more prepared you are, the smoother and less scary the journey will be. Okay? So what's going to happen is maybe not tomorrow, all right? But the next day, which is what? Tomorrow's Wednesday, so Thursday, we'll jump into the next in this series, which is the base, which is the home buying foundation. Okay, the home buying foundation. So just be on the lookout next couple of days, because again, this is a 6-part series. This is Khalid Nathan Alim, the real estate boy. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, I got you. Wherever you find this at, DM me. You can call me. All of my contact information is on my digital business page, which is meetkhalid.com. Again, meetkhalid.com. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all on the flip side.